Jose Aldo delivered a vintage performance at UFC 301, returning from a nearly 2-year retirement to defeat a very tough Jonathan Martinez by unanimous decision in just a brilliant performance in front of his hometown crowd in Rio de Janeiro. This seemed like a challenging matchup for Aldo to come back after his break from MMA against Martinez, who had won 6 in a row, but he had all the answers on this night. Mostly shut down Martinez over the course of 15 minutes. To me, just a great performance by Aldo. If this is his final UFC fight, we know it was the last on his contract. What a way to go out, up there in my mind, with one of the great final UFC fights from a legend with Robbie Lawler against Nico Price. But in my mind, all due respect to Nico Price, Jonathan Martinez, a much tougher and higher ranked opponent. So that even speaks more to Aldo's win and leaves a lot of interesting questions about his future. Well, he was retired. He was still boxing. The UFC gave him permission and their blessing to do that while still under contract, but he also vocalized he had to turn down some opportunities as well. So if he is finished the contract here and doesn't want to re-sign and enters free agency, that gives him a lot of options out there. The selfish MMA fan in me would love to see Aldo stay with the UFC because I think that is where the best fights can happen and where his skill set is strongest. I'd love to see the Dominic Cruz fight that was rumored for this. Marlon Vera called out Aldo for a rematch. There's plenty of other awesome fights that you could make in the bantamweight division, which is one of the very best in the sport. And the other side of it, though, the business side, the one who wants to see Aldo get paid, I would love to see him get something big, perhaps in boxing, that could really set him up for a final retirement when he does decide to walk away from the sport. What that is exactly, I don't know. He said in our pre-fight interview that he could maybe have an opportunity on the undercard of Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson. That would be huge for him. But what is his ceiling in boxing? I don't really know. The fights he did have during this hiatus from MMA, he was solid, but I don't think overly impressive that you think he could beat any ranked names or top tier talent in the boxing ring. He's fighting fellow MMA fighters like Jeremy Stevens. So for him, I would love to see him in MMA. I think that's where he's best. But again, we want the best for Jose Aldo. We want to see this man get paid for everything he's done. And if that's what he needs to go forward to do to set himself up for life, of course, we give him the blessing and want him to pursue that. But again, the hardcore fan in me wants to see him part of this bantamweight division. So we'll see what kind of offer the UFC may give him to keep around or what else is out there for Aldo. But nevertheless, this performance set him up for some huge opportunities going forward.